Hi gang, this is Mike G from Mr. GTV and MrMikeGarner.com, and this is part 2 of Hypnosis Revealed. My story, my journey as a hypnotist, and also allowing you to understand the process of hypnosis and the successes and the pitfalls of the industry. And I love the industry. I got started with my first qualification course back in 1993, between 93 and 95, which is 30 years ago now. I've been doing hypnosis, visualization, meditation training, but the first hypnosis course under that name, hypnosis, hypnotherapy, was 30 years ago. Probably qualified 29 years ago with George Edwards, the registrar at La Roche College in Sheffield. And there's 2 techniques that I learned, which is what I want to talk about. And this probably has stood me in good stead in the last 30 years. And I've done lots of qualifications, far more comprehensive than what I did with La Roche College, that was very basic in the day. I'm not even sure that it was accredited by a British standard. They had their own governing body, and it was associated to the American Institute of Hypnosis. Whenever you see anybody who's got qualifications that are international qualifications, it means that they're not actually recognised. I'm in Thailand, and that's a street seller going past with a megaphone, which is quite interesting. Ultimately, look for people who have got accreditation. Look for people who do continual professional development, CPD, as I do. Look at people who have to have police checks, as I have. Look at people who've done hands-on training. Now, I opted with La Roche College to go and do some residential training, but that was optional. You can actually do courses these days. You can do a massage course and never actually massage anybody. And the people who are adjudicating, marking the papers, such as they are, and some of them are just like 20 questions. I mean, they're charging some of these courses are £9 to become a child psychologist or a hypnotherapist. I mean, it's laughable, really. It's like learning Reiki online. You cannot learn Reiki online. You have to have hands-on experience. You have to be mentored. You have to be part of a group. You have to have it's a kinesthetic experience. You have to have a hands-on experience. It's all about empathy, and you have to touch the person. You have to have conscious contact with the client, you know. So these qualifications are spurious, to say the least, and I would say scandalous, actually. And it's bringing down the standards of all disciplines, all practices, all therapies. In fact, a lot of things. It was the same in martial arts. It took me 5 years to get my black belt, which actually was quite a fast track in the day. Now you can do it in 2 years. And I think the syllabus is, to a large extent, because of legislation, litigation, have been watered down, because they can't teach you a lot of the stuff that you really want to know, because you can't risk assess a face punch. But I digress. So with hypnosis, you know, if you do an online course, you're going to know a bit, but you probably will be able to do nothing with it. And this is the problem, that they are pure lip service. The certificate doesn't give you any competency, even though it might be a qualification. So the 2 things that I learned on this very shallow course back in the day, 30 years ago, was surprisingly quite an advanced technique that takes a lot of confidence, which is an instant induction. And an instant induction means that you can basically offer your hand up in front of somebody, and there are words to be said, and there is a process to follow, but very quickly, if they follow your instructions, they're in a trance, and then you deepen it. And that's an instant induction, a rapid induction. I realised after this, and I'll talk about this in part 3, that progressive relaxation and indirect suggestion, as well as direct suggestion, has got great value. But I learned this, and I didn't realise that it was quite an advanced technique. So when I went out there, living in North Wales at the time, I was doing this advanced technique, but it was the only thing I knew, and it was the first thing I was taught, and it made me look rather dynamic, because I was dropping people into trance very quickly, where maybe people who'd been doing hypnotherapy for years, possibly decades, might have to do a lengthier process and never really was sure if the person was just in trance or bored to death or fell asleep. And although that sounds glib, it's true. A lot of hypnotherapists today don't test the work. So the person that they are working with, the subject, has got their eyes closed, but you don't know to what degree the trance is. What I learned with La Roche College was how to drop them into trance and test that. And then the two techniques was a relaxation technique and a positive breathing technique, all rolled into one that made the person feel on top of the world. So that was quite good. And then the other one was a confidence technique where you could remove negative thoughts, which ultimately meant you can change negative behaviours. And pretty much with those two techniques, I went out and set up my business, and I formed mind focus groups. I had the number plate MFG, Mind Focus Groups, because my name is Michael Frank Garner. I had B8 MFG, it looked like 88 MFG. So I came up with a name of the business that was the same as a number plate. And it's an acronym for Mind Focus Groups, MFG, and also Michael Frank Garner. So I had Mind Focus Groups as stickers professionally put onto my vehicle, logos, decals. I had the number plate, and away I went with my one advanced technique, even though I'd only been doing it 3 weeks, and two techniques, two strategies to create change in people. And I did. And I didn't challenge that at the time, 30 years ago, as a younger man. I was 35, out on the road. People were coming to me. I was a single dad, and I was taking on the world with an advanced technique that I didn't realise was, and two basic strategies. And to be honest with you, that stood me in good stead. 30 years ago, I paid £29 for that training course. And then I invested in some mentoring with the registrar, George Edwards, and sought other hypnotists and therapists for additional training, because, as I say, it was quite shallow what I was being offered, and consequently, you know, I had very little knowledge, even though I was armed with advanced techniques. I think the training course was about, it involved some distant learning, and then I had to turn up for some residential courses. I think it went over something like about 6 or 8 months, and that got me started. In fact, when I had a newspaper article done on me, and I set up my first hypnosis club in Llandudno, I just started another training course with another hypnotist that I valued, and I'd done the Dick Sutphen training and the Tom Silver training, who were American hypnotists, because, as I say, the accreditation that I got initially was a British standard, but it wasn't medical and dental. In other words, it was within a fraternity, but it wasn't recognised, and therefore I could only call myself a lay hypnotherapist. I'm not a doctor, you know, I haven't got a doctorate, and until my spine injury in 2007 that allowed me the time, because I was a single dad and I was in industry. I was an automobile technician. I worked for the AA, which is a UK organisation, a breakdown organisation. In America, you've got the AAA. In the UK, you got the AA, the AA, the Automobile Association, uniform job, going out and repairing cars and attending breakdowns, people in emergency breakdown situations, supporting the police and the emergency services, doing breakdown and recovery. I did that for 32 years, and I went through a divorce, so I ended up with shared care of my children, which eventually ended up that I had them living with me a substantial amount of the time. So we moved to Wales, and when I moved to Wales, probably around about 97, 1987 I moved to Wales. I decided to set up my first hypnosis club, which was actually in a community centre in Llandudno called the Trinity Centre. And I started a mentoring and empowerment group for carers, and they loved it so much they said, can we have this every week? And I set up a weekly club, and that attracted other hypnotists and other therapists to come to see what I was doing, based on the fact that at the time I was educating myself, but I'd only learnt one advanced rapid induction, and I had 2 strategies under my belt, and everything else was either self-learnt, I'd created in the moment, or I'd done additional training, which sort of found myself and wasn't recommended through my fellowship. So this is how it works. I hope you're still with me. I hope my story isn't all over the place, but I'm driving and I'm talking, and this is what I do best. I travel all over helping people. Now, since those early days, I've probably done about 11 professional training courses. I've done a psychotherapy, a diploma, and a psychology degree. And but that didn't happen until my spine injury in 2007, that created the time and space for me to be able to sit down and do the relevant reading and studying and create the thesis. So it's been an interesting journey, and I'm a practical guy. I'm a nuts and bolts guy. I'm a motor mechanic by background, a tradesman, and I have a very practical approach to hypnosis. I'm not away with the fairies with it. I might be with some of the other things that I talk about if you follow me on Mr. GTV. But it all comes from sound research, and if anybody wants to know anything or ask me any questions, or if you're a sort of like a growing hypnotherapist or a potential street hypnotist entertainer, and you want to know how I do what I do, then contact me for a chat, because I'm here for that. But this is almost like part 2, and it's a continuation of the introduction, because from now on what I'll be doing is I'll be explaining to you and sharing with you some of my cases and the growth of hypnosis and my involvement in it, and my latest project, which is called Cure Hypnosis, which is C-U-R-E, Cure, same as MFG is Mind Focus Groups and Michael Frank Garner. C-U-R-E is Cure, and it's C for create, and it's the U-R is your, and the E, which is the last letter in the word cure, is experience. So again, it's an acronym, create your experience. And I believe with hypnosis, with my skill set now based on experience and academic study, research, and just pushing the boundaries and having no fear with it, getting out there and testing my work, which I think is fundamental, testing your work. I'm able to create for people what I call a change phenomena, that you can change their physical perception of reality, their mental perception of reality, their emotional perception of reality, and give them almost like a spiritual experience, which I do believe in, this dimensional world of quantum reality, that you can access it through trance in the same way that you can access it through psychedelics and certain pharmaceutical compounds, treatments, medications act upon the nervous system, act upon the endocrine glands, act upon the mind, act upon the body. But I believe that everything that you can create pharmaceutically, this is a personal view, everything that you can create pharmaceutically, holistically, you can create with hypnosis. The hypnosis is the gateway to other dimensions, to other realities, to a better life. You can overcome all the obstacles that stand in the way of your health, happiness and success in life and business with hypnosis. And from this session forwards, that's what I'll be talking about. I think you'll find it fascinating. I hope you do. As I say, if you need a chat, I'm here for that. I'm not just going to talk and run. If you've got questions, contact me and I will give you the time of day. Be powerful. Enjoy your mind, like and subscribe. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button. That helps me. It means that you won't miss my next presentation. Be powerful.